inside studio headquarters of Big Play in Cleveland, Ohio, on the shores of Lake Erie. Just a guitar pick toss away from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame here in Cleveland. Welcome in to Greenie Sports Cards Live, presented by the Big Play Collectibles Network, the world's original multi-stream broadcast for the hobby. This is episode 129. On this show tonight, we'll check in with our resident hobby insider, Joe Wysmierski from Phoenix Sports Cards, for his perspective from the hobby shop. Greenie will take us around the country for the top collectibles shows coming up this weekend on the heels of two huge shows this past weekend. Of course, one in Shipshewana, Indiana, and the other was a front row card show out in Las Vegas. There's plenty of other action coming up this weekend, which he will share. And later, we'll be joined by John, a.k.a. Basketball Card Guy. So lots of news to get to this evening. We appreciate you joining us. My name is Jeremy Levine, the man about town here in Cleveland, Ohio, and we are with you on the Big Play Collectibles Network, as we are every Tuesday night live from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Anything can happen. And this is our foray into bringing you the hobby news of the week, special guests, content, and interesting stories and aspects from the world of collecting. So thank you for joining us. Make sure you like and subscribe and retweet and all those fun things, and as we continue to grow the network here, of course, presented by Big Play. Let's go ahead and welcome in the man himself, the guy who is the namesake of the show, Steve Greenberg, a.k.a. Greenie, known in the hobby, and his name is all over this place. Greenie Sports Cards, Greenie Sports Card Shows, Greenie Sports Cards Live. Good evening, my friend. A little bit different this evening as we tag team. I'm here in studio, and you are out in the world.
I am. I'm out in the wild. A lot of things going on today. I wasn't able to make it downtown, but I am remarked by how many stickers you have on your laptop that I never see, because I never see the back of your laptop from my usual perch there in Nick Padone's chair. So kudos to you, and I like that. That's a nice touch.
Yeah, thank you. There's a lot more than anybody else sees out there too, but they are there. We're here to support the hobby, and I do what I can, where I can.
Listen, that's speaking of supporting the hobby, man. This weekend was terrific. It started with Andy Friedman from who's our friend and artist extraordinaire, was in Bomber Sports Cards. We had a nice little trade night there. We brought all of his original art there. It was terrific. And then Friday, we went to Shipshewana, and Saturday was the Shipshewana Card Fest. So terrific weekend of ball carding and spreading the hobby, and got to see a lot of people that hadn't seen since way back when at the National a couple weeks ago.
All those weeks ago. Yeah. Greenie, lots going on in the hobby. It is turbocharged these days with live events and lots of news that we'll get to in a little bit. First, I would be remiss talking about supporting the hobby, and supporting me is my wife, Melissa, now of 14 years, which it's our anniversary today. And she is so supportive. She's okay with me being here in studio following a week of travel as well. So I just want to wish Melissa a very happy anniversary, and I appreciate all she does in her support of me and us and Greenie Sports Cards and all the other endeavors we're involved with.
God bless her for that.
She is whatever goes beyond a saint and an angel. She's one level above that. So 14 years putting up with me in marriage, and even longer than that. So happy anniversary, Melissa. Let's keep it moving here. We're going to get to hobby news in a minute. We're going to talk to our resident hobby insider, Joe Wysmierski. We're going to talk to John, a.k.a. Basketball Card Guy, Greenie. And before we do that, we'll get to some news and notes of your own with Greenie Sports Cards. Big announcement came out this week with the Great Northern Card Show, which continues to grow in and of itself. You've had a couple of shows already at the Great Northern Mall in North Olmsted, Ohio this year, but the one coming up in September 4th, 5th is going to be massive, and that is in no small part to a partnership with Primetime Sports. They are bringing a number of autographed guests to the show. Of course, the event itself, the Greenie Sports Cards presented Great Northern Card Show, is free admission, free parking. It is a wonderful facility over there. And then Primetime has a huge retail space in the mall, of which they will be bringing a number of guests. And you've got Jared Verse and Spencer Fano with their first and only appearance before the NFL season kicks off for the Cleveland Browns. You've got Kirk Gibson and Ron Say and Steve Garvey. The Dodgers contingent will be there signing on Friday. And then a couple other Browns, Emmanuel McNeil Warren and Braylon Edwards. And there will be a number of other announcements expected to roll out with the guests. So for autograph details and tickets for the signings, visit primetime12.com. That's primetime12.com for the schedule and for your autograph tickets. And for information about the Great Northern Card Show presented by Greenie Sports Cards itself, head to greenieshows.com. So Greenie, lots of cool stuff happening there as your shows continue to grow and grow.
I can't wait to see Kirk Gibson. No matter if you're a baseball fan or not, you know that the historic home run that he hit. You've heard Vin Scully, I can't believe what I just saw. I mean, that is ingrained in sports fans' minds, memories, and man, whether it's an iconic hit like that, and I've heard people say, I don't even remember what game it was, game one, and the hit that he hit off of Eckersley, I mean that was amazing. So I would like to just meet Kirk Gibson and I guess thank him for one of the greatest home runs that I've ever seen.
Yeah, not only that, I'm interested to meet him as well. It's not a secret. He has a foundation, Parkinson's Foundation. He has been battling as well. And of course, that is near and dear to my family's heart, supporting Parkinson's research. And so Kirk Gibson still getting out there doing amazing things and proving you can stay in the game. So that is coming up, Greenie, September 4th and 5th at Great Northern Mall, correct?
Yep. Mall hours 11 to 8. And I mean, we're upwards of 200 tables and probably going to be a little bit more as this news trickles out to other people that see, 7 or 8 different autographers between the 2 days. So should be a very fun time at that show.
And more on the way. And speaking on the way, last week you broke the announcement as well that legendary West Virginia athlete Jason Williams will be appearing at the Mountain State Collectors Convention coming up in September. Want to touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, if you're a basketball fan, I can't wait to hear what John has to say about the collectability of Jason Williams. One of the most dynamic point guards you've ever seen play basketball, and he'll be there signing autographs on Saturday. Times are still to be determined, but Select Cards and Collectibles, the shop right there in Charleston, is bringing that Jason Williams down. We're also going to have former wrestler Vladimir Koloff is going to be there with a huge setup of different merchandise from his career, and he'll be signing autographs and telling stories as well.
And tickets are on sale, of course, as well as vendor tables for that show, Greenie, correct?
Yeah, they are. You can just go to greenieshows.com. We have a link. I think the link for purchasing tickets is right at the top of the page, and then you can hit the vendor form, and there's not many vendor tables left. So we look forward to that. It's been a terrific time in Charleston and a great partnership with the CVB and the city of Charleston. They put on a terrific event with us.
Very cool city, too. If you've never been to Charleston, West Virginia, it continues to surprise us. Lots of fun to be had there. And, of course, a terrific card show in a state-of-the-art convention center. So looking forward to that coming up. Greenie, let's get to hobby news, and then we will bring in our resident hobby insider to comment and take us even further. PSA announces expansion of on-site grading to 12 new shows in 26-27. Of course, talking of card show events, PSA confirmed it will expand on-site grading. They haven't announced where they're going yet, but the stops will include the Midwest and Southeast. This is in part of their strategy to reduce turnaround bottlenecks and increase regional accessibility. On-site grading availability directly impacts show traffic, dealer planning, and collector behavior, expediting those cards into the market. Panini has locked in a multi-year NASCAR extension through 2032. They announced a long-term renewal with NASCAR, securing the rights for Prism, National Treasures, Donruss, and Chronicles Racing. Athlon notes NASCAR remains one of Panini's most stable categories post NBA NFL licensing. This matters because it's right on the heels of another win for Panini this summer with the UFC license renewal. Collect is reporting a surge in vintage ticket market. The 1970s and 80s sports events are up 40%. Collect's weekly market report shows a sharp rise in graded vintage tickets, including 1979 NBA Finals, 1984 Cubs games, and early 1980s NFL stubs, all trending upwards. PSA's ticket submissions are up 28% year over year. Tickets continue to emerge as a major alternative collectible category with strong crossover appeal. Sports Illustrated highlights a boom in women's basketball cards ahead of the 2026-2027 season. Caitlin Clark, Paige Beckers, Juju Watkins are driving market interest, and 2026 Donruss WNBA pre-orders are up 35%. SI notes Fanatics live streams featuring women's hoops are outperforming expectations. Leaf announces a Decadence multi-sport 2026 with expanded NIL roster. Leaf confirmed the 2026 edition will have an expanded NIL athlete checklist, new dual medal autograph format, first appearances for several 2027 draft-eligible prospects. Leaf continues to dominate the NIL space with premium tier products, and rumor has it, Greenie, that they will also have a card available at the Mountain State Collectors Convention, so stay tuned for that. Upper Deck reveals a new AEW insert program featuring live event matte relics. Upper Deck has announced a new AEW insert line using authentic event matte canvases from the 2025-2026 pay-per-views. Athlon notes this is AEW's first relic program tied directly to specific match moments. Fanatics Live introduces creator breaks featuring non-hobby influencers. They are piloting a new program where mainstream creators in gaming, comedy, lifestyle, and more host curated breaks. Early tests show higher viewer retention and cross-category engagement. This is the first major attempt to push the hobby into broader creator culture, potentially expanding the collector base. Golden reports 2026 Q2 auction volume is up 22% year over year. The strongest categories include vintage baseball, women's basketball, and high-end TCG. The average lot value is up 14% year over year. SI notes this is contradicting market cooling narratives. And finally, eBay releases transparency update on authenticity guarantee expansion. eBay confirmed its expansion of authenticity guarantee to vintage sports cards, meaning pre-1980, high-value raw singles, and select entertainment cards. This is the first time eBay has introduced vintage raw cards into the program. This directly impacts buyer confidence and seller behavior in high-risk categories. More news and notes coming up with our resident hobby insider, Joe Wysmierski, and we will go ahead and welcome him now. Joining us is the only man who packs emergency top loaders the way normal people pack snacks, the human checklist himself, a man who will fist pump a base card and mean it. He's the desert-dwelling Sultan of Slabs, the Commissioner of Chaos, our resident hobby insider, headband, Joe Wysmierski.
Gentlemen, thanks for having me. And while we're at it, my wife of almost 20 years, thank you so much, Emily. Jeremy wanted to thank his wife on their anniversary, and I just felt the need to do it even better. And my wife just so wonderful and great and allows me to do this. So thank you so much.
Cheers to the wives.
Yeah. Congratulations, Jeremy, to you and yours on 14 years.
14 years consecutively.
Yes. That's great. That's great. Incredible.
Where is Joe? Is yours consecutively?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
Our first date was Olive Garden in December. It was December 26th, 2004. And then we went and saw the movie Spanglish. So incredible.
Speaking of 2004, are cards more popular now than they were in 2004?
Greenie, It's incredible. I mean, I don't know if you know this, but they are selling cards on Whatnot.
Huh.
That is something
What?
someone came in and let me know while they were picking up a pack for one of their grandkids, and I said, "Yeah, it's incredible. Not just watches, but clothing, everything. Disney. It's almost as exciting as being at the Mountain State Collectors Convention when you'll be in a room with two guys who share the same nickname, White Chocolate. Greenie, that's got to be incredible for you and Jason Williams to both share that same room. So
What are the odds?
I'm looking forward to it.
What are those odds?
Yeah.
Like, well, what are the pack odds? That's like hitting, I don't know, something like a Dunkin' Go Nuts or something, right?
It's a
Like the
couple of
odds.
case hits, couple of
Yeah,
case hits,
couple of
just
cases.
incredible guys. Greenie, I saw a ton of the social media content that was all over the place from Shipshawana because there was a little bit of a cool off after the national, right? And so it did pick
Mm.
right back up at Shipshawana as far as people were kind of tying a bow on their national experience, but now kind of reopening, going into the fall season here, and it was really funny. For me, it was funny. A gentleman came in. He's like, "Hey, kind of concerned. I want to get into cards, but I heard on a couple of podcasts that usually the month of September things really cool down." And I was like, "Really?" And he was like, "Yeah." I said,
Huh.
Was there anything behind that?" And they were like, "Well, no, there wasn't anything behind it. They just said, kind of traditionally." And I said, "Well, here's why I'm going to tell you why that's false, right?" So we have preseason for NHL. We are starting to get the guys in camp for the NBA season that starts at the end of October. Football season, college will already be almost an entire month in by the end of September. NFL, they've already started, and that's picking up. Plus, this will be the first time in quite a while that you will actually have an NFL product that will have rookies that are for this season that will release prior to the start of the actual season, and they'll be in their pro uniforms. So that's exciting because this week, Topps flagship hits the market. And there's 4 SKUs coming out, Greenie. There's jumbo, there's hobby, there's mega boxes and value boxes. And I don't think there will be a shortage of it out there. And that's okay. It's not a
That's
chrome
okay.
product. But you will get every Fernando Mendoza card that your heart desires.
As well as our KC Concepcion and David Boston as well. But yeah, Tops, I saw that. So it comes out, I think, is it Friday? Is that, or is the order Friday? I can't remember. I saw some solicitation, but I
It
think
does
that
come
is
out
a
on
big
Friday.
deal. So that
Friday.
rookies, like you said, like, I mean, we had to wait how long to get rookie cards last season
That was always
in
the
professional uniforms, I guess.
it was always goofy. I mean, there were 2 or 3 products that came in with them still in their collegiate uniforms. It was goofy, and I know they've tried their best, but the same company was also the company that was releasing World Cup product after the World Cup has already started, and they're releasing other SKUs, so it wasn't like a solid buildup. Like when your biggest product is World Cup Prism and you don't release it until like the second week of the group stage, like I mean, you miss all of this excitement and capitalization of these people who are coming here in the United States, which, I know sports cards are global, right? And it's working to be that point. But I would say that the United States is the market that has more SKUs, more sports readily available than any other country in the in the world.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think that's probably pretty bold. I mean, why wouldn't it be, right? What other sports are out there? Yeah.
Yeah. You have those things that are occurring. I mean, it's going to be pretty special that you'll have them in their pro uniforms. I don't know how fast they were with maybe getting like trades. So I don't know if Miles Garrett will be in flagship as a Ram or if Jared Verse
Sure.
will be as a Cleveland Brown, which by the way, that's huge that Primetime is able to get that at the Great Northern Mall show. I mean, having the guy who I've seen a ton of highlights, he's young. He brings just a different style, I would say. Like Miles Garrett was kind of stoic too, but like I don't know. I'm not there. I didn't always see him readily engage with all of his fellow D linemen. It looks like Jared Verse has a pretty good grip on the young guys there and keeping guys excited, and maybe teaming him up next to Mason Graham will be something huge, right? For the Browns. Unfortunately, I know you guys looked great in the first bit of Saturday's preseason game, and it's preseason. You kind of need to shut the door, but there were some turnovers from some of those quarterbacks, but we shall see. We shall see.
Let's go to baseball for a second here, because I've had enough of that. Whatever. And so, listen, let's talk about the hype of baseball and how a 3-home run game in a first major league appearance, record-setting, first person to ever do that. Cards flew off of, can't say the shelves because nobody had them on the shelves, but off of eBay, right? I had a card sitting on eBay that sold. And then his next 3 games, he got no hits. What do we see of Joshua Baez?
It's the typical. I mean, he came up and he caught lightning in a bottle, and that is fantastic for him and for his family, and I hope it carries through. He wasn't a player that had the hype train like a Jackson Holiday or some of these guys that came up that you expected great things right away. So you hope that it didn't get too big, the moment didn't get too big for him, or maybe they just identified how to pitch around him. But it's great. It's absolutely great for sports for him. It's one of those things. No one could have projected it. It's just like the Mizorowski stuff. We literally had first Bowman autos sitting in the case last May for $40 and didn't move. And people pulled them out. And then come the end of July and August, and even now, I mean, those are triple digits all day.
So is this why, and I've heard you say this before, Adam says it too, when Bowman Chrome or Bowman Draft, when they come out, you sell those guys right away, right? How long, this guy was what, 5 years in, right? 4 years in before he made his major league debut. And that's the thing, how long do you wait to hold prospects, right? That's a tough question.
Dude, it is a very, very tough question, because you're talking to a guy who was thrilled when he bought a Shohei Ohtani rated rookie auto, BGS 9 auto 10 for $136, and then 9 months later sold it for $700. Well, that same card right now is $10,000. It was a guy coming off of Tommy John, but I think you do capitalize on that market right away. And then it's always something. I mean, we're coming into the off season. You always have the opportunity to buy then. That is the catch-22 of the hobby. But you can't constantly be looking back over your shoulder at the woulda, shoulda, because in this instance, if you didn't put that card up that night or the next day, you might not still be reaping the benefits of that. And this actually leads me to, I'm going to make a slight right-hand turn here, Steve, because we start to talk about other prospects, not really prospects because they're older, but the Japanese players that came over, Murakami, right? So Murakami's autos are redemptions, with the exception of his autos that were in the national packs. Those were live. But his Topps Chrome Black, which I believe was his first White Sox uniform, those still have not been signed. They haven't been back into the market. You're only seeing redemptions. Topps Pristine that came out last week, they're just redemptions. These are guys that if you hold one of these cards, sure, it covers the cost of your box, but I mean, how exciting is it to really sell a redemption or to be on the other side and purchase a redemption? But if the White Sox, they did a good job sweeping my Tigers, I know. But if they don't make the playoffs, what happens to the cost of those redemptions? I mean, he's a 230 hitter with a bunch of home runs. I mean, Cal Raleigh also hit 210 with a bunch of home runs last year. And now currently he's still sitting with more home runs last year than what he has in current base hits or hits this year.
That is why I think the GOAT market is just tremendous, and the prospect market is hit or miss, right, at the end of the day.
Yeah. I mean, and Steve, what you do have is you have people that specialize in either or.
Sure,
Very rarely
sure.
do you have someone that is all in on both, because financially it could be incredibly taxing, where you have established players, but you will pay through the nose for those established players. But you have to be willing and be okay with maybe single digit percentages when you start to move that stuff. If you're buying a little higher and you need to move it, you're not going to get that big, shot in the arm of, I made 200% on that card.
So Jeremy said in the hobby hits that PSA is going to be attending more shows, taking more submissions, and grading on site. It's a pretty good thing. Nat Turner, if he's listening, we got a couple shows, Greenie shows that you're more than welcome to come to.
Yeah, that's great, Steve. I hope all the best for you to have them at your show. I think all the best. For me, I didn't hear glowing reviews from the National, especially, but obviously, if you're charging $399 to grade a card on site and you sell that out on the first day, there is clearly a need for your service. If they can figure out a way to master that and meet those service needs, that's great. The last thing that you want to have is people showing up, paying a large amount of money for their card to be graded, and then the show leaves town and you don't have your card right then and there like you were hoping to have. That's the one thing you hope does not happen. I have seen they had a grading report just recently come out, a company, I believe it's ACS. They just broke into the market. They're in the top 5 now. They took 84,000 submissions last month. So we'll see.
Any of those 84,000 come from Phoenix Sports Cards?
They did not, but we did purchase some Pokemon cards that did have
Did
that
you?
logo.
Okay.
I've been a huge proponent of CGC stuff. Like I love the way that the actual slabs look. I hope that they can start to steamroll a little bit and maybe the value continues to increase, because I do think CGC is a good brand. I think the cards look really sharp in those holders, and just having some competition in the market will force them to both do better, right?
At the end of the day, there's really nothing wrong with a raw card. So there's
Amen.
that too. So
Amen.
Joe, we appreciate your time as always. I know that you're 59th and Thunderbird, but where else can people find Joe and Phoenix Sports Cards?
At PHX Sports Cards on Instagram. Check us out. As always, I look forward to seeing you guys next week, and stay cool.
Cheers to the significant others, Joe, behind the hobby.
Thanks, Joe.
See you guys.
Our thanks to Joe Wysmierski, Headband Joe, our resident hobby insider, joins us every week between 7 and 8 p.m. here on Greenie Sports Cards Live. And joining us every week as well are these two beautiful pieces behind me. We have the Jack Sawyer Scoop and Score for 82 yards against Texas, and a signed Jim Brown autograph custom piece, and they were provided to us by Hall of Framers, Northeast Ohio's premier custom framing studio. Not just in Northeast Ohio, but if you're anywhere in the country, you can utilize both Andrew and Sienna. They specialize in museum quality sports displays, shadow boxes, jerseys, memorabilia, and one-of-a-kind pieces that make your collection look its absolute best. Every frame is handcrafted, every detail is intentional, and their team delivers the kind of work you only get from true professionals. If you want your collectibles framed the right way, visit Hall of Framers at hofcle.com or stop by their shop in downtown Berea, just a couple of blocks up from Cleveland Browns headquarters, which is rapidly expanding as well in the next few years. That campus will be completely transformed. So really cool stuff from them. Our thanks to Hall of Framers. And Greenie, I know this is your favorite time of the week, typically, where we go around the country and talk about the upcoming collectible shows that are near and dear to your heart, and that shows that people should be connecting with around the country. And thus, it is time for Card Show Live.
Yeah, Yeah, thanks, Jeremy. This is Card Show Live, and you're right. This is one of my favorite parts of the week where we get to talk about card shows and where you can go and where you can find some of your next best treasures. And we're going to start with the Elks Lodge in Woonsocket, Rhode Island. That show is Thursday. It's not the weekend. It is the first show of the week. It is Thursday, August 20th. Bill Brida has 30 tables in Woonsocket, Rhode Island at the Elks Lodge. And then on to the weekend and the On to Victory show at Auburn University. Auburn is actually running their own card show with the help of On to Victory shows. 200 tables, August 22nd and 23rd. Probably a lot of war eagling going on down there. So if you're anywhere near Auburn, check that out. Check out the oak trees too. I hear that's a kind of a big deal there in Auburn. From there, I don't know that I'm going to pronounce it right, but I'm going to try. The Alachua County Sports and Events Center in Gainesville, Florida has 300 tables this weekend, August 22nd and 23rd. I know I saw some videos. I think Jeff Wilson's going to be down there, amongst other people we know. He's a big Florida Gator fan. So check on that. The Alachua, I hope I said it right, County Sports and Events Center. From there, the Effingham Events Center in Effingham, Illinois. If you are ever driving east to west, and you will go right through southern Indiana, right into Effingham, Illinois. There's also a huge card shop there, Baseball Card Connection, Lisa and John. That's a plug to them. But check out this weekend, 100 tables, August 22nd, the Effingham Events Center. And then from there, we have the Burst Center Card Show, 50 tables by Terry Gill in Coal City, Illinois. That is a Sunday show, August the 23rd. So 50 tables there in Coal City, the Burst Center Card Show. So whether you have a card show in your area, one you can drive to, or even a card shop, get out there and support the local shows, the local shops. Nothing beats the face-to-face interaction of doing a deal with cards, or just doing a deal and talking about cards. So check those out in your neck of the woods.
Thank you, Greenie. We're going to check with legal to see if we can say Effingham on the radio, but I think we'll be okay. Speaking of card shows, Greenie, a terrific article by a mutual friend of ours, Mike Beater, down in the Kent area, talking about the importance in this day and age of live or AI, the importance of experiences and personal connection. And of course, the hobby shows bring that together. So really good stuff from Mike on that article. Our next guest is John, known throughout the hobby as Basketball Card Guy. John has been collecting since childhood, and he has spent decades building a deep practical understanding of the hobby from the ground up. Through basketballcardguy.com, he's become a trusted educator for collectors of all experience levels, offering clear guidance on how to collect smart, avoid common pitfalls, understand grading, and enjoy the hobby without getting overwhelmed. John's mission is simple: make collecting fun, approachable, and sustainable. Let's go ahead and welcome in John. And my first question is, do we call you Mr. Card Guy or John, a.k.a. Basketball
John
Card Guy? How would you like to be referred?
Is good.
Welcome, John.
Fantastic. John, thank you so much. We appreciate your time and
Absolutely
spending a little time talking cards here with us and the hobby and how much it's been exploding. And, you've been around this hobby for a long time. And
yeah,
I joked with Joe earlier, our cards more popular now than they were in 2004. Of course, the answer is yes, but tell us a little bit of why.
I think, it's shifted a lot, right? So the way that I used to enjoy cards and you used to enjoy cards, a lot of us used to enjoy cards, was in collecting them. I think now there's a certain share of the space that's really obsessed with transacting them. Not like keeping them and gathering them, which is kind of the definition of collecting, but actually moving them and selling them, becoming almost more important to some folks than buying them or having them in the first place. So when you add that in, it's a new element. It expands the hobby in new ways. It brings record highs in terms of sales, but it changes it a little bit fundamentally too. It makes things a little bit less affordable for us that have been in it a while. But it also brings in kind of new money, new folks that are like, wait a minute, that piece of cardboard is worth what? And so new interest comes in. We see celebrities coming in. We see stores expanding. We see it's just everything is kind of exploded, I think, because of those two things kind of intersecting.
John, you work with a lot of collectors who are returning to the hobby after years away, and they are getting shocked by a lot of that. What's the biggest mindset or the shift in mindset they need to make to enjoy collecting today?
Well, I think you don't have to go after the super expensive stuff. There is plenty of stuff. Like I saw folks that I went to 3 shows over the weekend, and in each of those shows, folks were all complaining about how Shaq is not inexpensive anymore. That why can't I buy that Shaq insert for so little? I don't know why you were waiting. You had all this time, but but I think it's just you can still find things even in that sector where it's like, wow, a lot of his inserts are up, some of them aren't yet, so you could still go after those. I think there's always kind of a space. I tell people, like, if you're just getting into the hobby, if you're a kid and you've got a limited budget, let's say $10 a month to spend in the hobby, you can go and hit a dollar box, find 10 cards or 5 cards today, 5 cards next week, and you can start building a collection that way. You don't have to buy the expensive stuff. You can kind of build up to that over time. But I find the most important thing is that you're buying something that really resonates with you, that you're not just going after the things, oh, Shaq's hot now, I got to buy Shaq. No, don't do that. If you like Shaq, fine. But if you like Jason Williams, go after those Jason Williams cards. There's always a pocket for you.
Yeah, no question. And that's really what we're seeing in some of these names, the Shaq, the Jason Williams, and then everybody's trying to guess who's next. Is it Tim Duncan? Is it Vince Carter? Is it Tracy McGrady? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that yet.
Yeah.
Wish I did. But we're seeing a huge resurgence of the 90s guys, right? Guys that we have grown up chasing and watching. And I think because part of it is now we can afford those cards. You know, when
That's
we
right.
were 12, 13 years old, and granted, you know, $20 was a lot then. Like
It was.
we weren't able to buy some of these cards. And I think it's now people that it's our generation that have jobs. And again, 20, 50, $100 is still a lot for a piece of cardboard, but it's easier to do that now, right?
100%. Definitely is. It's I think, I mean, so much of it is nostalgia when you come back to it and see exactly what you said about folks that couldn't afford it back then. I mean, that's where you look at Jordan inserts. I think that's the single biggest reason behind it. Folks said, oh, I really wanted that Hot Shots card back in the day, and it was unaffordable at $600, but now someone's willing to spend $10,000 on it today. I know that sounds crazy, but it's true. You may have the 10 grand today when you didn't have the 600 back then. And so you still have that desire to buy that item that you've always wanted. And so folks are doing that. So I think that drives part of it. The other part of it is we're now living in this comp world, which we didn't before. Things used to move slowly. We used to wait for Beckett to come out every month, you know? So the biggest, like, you only had to have one point in the month in which prices were going to like go up dramatically. Now it seems like any minute a new comp can de-seat the old comp, unseat the old comp, and all of a sudden define a new market. And if there's 3 or 4 comps in a row going up, now we've got a trend. And what you were saying too about, well, who's next? People are trying to figure out who's next. People from a collecting side don't care about that as much. They still want the guys that they want. But from a predictability transaction side, that excitement of let me get it now before it pops, that's huge. And that's what people are looking for. And so they're looking at those trends and trying to see patterns. And there are some people that do that well. I see friends of mine that, you know, I can tell, like, they'll come to me. There's someone that came to me 3 months ago buying Shaqs. Pretty obvious they knew where that was going, you know? So I think there might be some people manipulating this market and every market that we've seen in the last 5-6 years. There's a lot of that too when we're dealing with comps. But I do think that from a collecting standpoint, it is very much rooted in that I couldn't afford it back when, I can get it now. And because the prices are so high, there is more supply than we've ever seen. I've seen more Jordan 90s inserts available now than I saw in the 90s when I was going to shows. Like, let that sink in. A lot of those cards have been put away in collections, have been lost, right? Like, there are more in the cases today than there were 30 years ago.
John, there's the nostalgia side of that going back to the 90s, but these days there's so many products, parallels, and releases. How do you advise collectors to stay focused without becoming overwhelmed?
It's hard. I always say stay in your lane, right? So my name, basketball card guy. You don't find me collecting a whole bunch of baseball cards, or football cards or the rest. And so that really starts to limit it. I tell people very strongly, like, have a PC player or two that you really like. Jordan's always been my guy. I have 4,000 Jordan cards in the collection, but my modern day guy is Thomas Bryant. We couldn't talk about two values that are polar opposites in terms of buying, right? I could get a 1-of-1 Thomas Bryant card for $60. And if you want that in a Jordan, you're talking about hundreds of thousands, So I think there's a balance there. But again, if you're collecting for the right reasons, if you're doing it as a hobby, like I always have, like if you're getting enjoyment just out of participating, not out of the money piece of it, then you can find plenty of people that resonate with you.
Cleveland Cavalier, Thomas Bryant.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
2 years. I think he just signed 2 years. Yeah.
We did. We just re-signed Thomas Bryant. So the hobby space is very different, right? So I buy and sell cards for a living. That's what I do.
Yep.
Jeremy talks about cards and works in the advertising part of us and our shows, yet we're both in the same space. You have a media background, you buy and sell cards a little bit, you collect cards, but there are so many different avenues for people to work in this hobby now, right?
Look, there's a ton of crossovers. I'll give you 3 quick examples. And what you were talking about earlier, you're talking about Collect, talking about tickets. I ran into Darren Rovell, who runs Collect, over the weekend at a show. Here's one of my tickets, one of my few tickets that I've collected. It's a dunk ticket from the dunk, from John Starks over Jordan from back then. One of my few things in my collections, that's a ticket. He's huge into tickets, really big. We can go to Jason Williams. We're talking about him. I have an autographed shoe. Jason Williams is a very excited person to meet. Very uninteresting autograph. And then you guys were talking about Andy Friedman. One of the few baseball things I have in my collection, just because I love shoes and I love art, I actually have the pair that he designed for Aaron Boone and that he wore on Father's Day back in 2022, signed by Friedman, signed by Boone as well. All authenticated out. And I have video of this on the field, like stuff like that. So as a collector, there's a ton of crossover. There's tons of things that you can be into, love looking at, things that resonate with you. Like, I'm not a baseball collector, but I love the art on those shoes. I love the connection to family and that thought. I think there's lots of ways that we can operate in this and have enjoyment.
I love that. At the ready, you had Andy Friedman and a number of other
it's
things.
All in the room.
About.
I was like, when you guys were talking about it, I'm like, oh, I'll just grab that. It's right over here. It's like a little museum. So.
I'm still marveling. I'm still counting the 4,000 Jordan cards you have in your collection. John, what part of the hobby do you think people overcomplicate the most?
I think people follow more than they kind of lead with their own heart. I think this notion of prospecting wasn't a thing back in the 90s. And, this idea of let me buy a rookie card that I think might turn into something big and then the value will go way up. That's become such a big thing that we see, stuff like Cooper Flag and Victor Wembanyama cards coming out of the packs at thousands of dollars out of the pack when these guys hadn't proven anything yet. You don't have to look too far to see how dangerous that is. You just have to mention, the name Zion Williamson, and we can all feel the pain of that. Where here's somebody with, I would say, Shaq level potential. When he came out, the hype was real. Guy was blowing up shoes on the court. I mean, like, there was real excitement there. And yet he didn't even start playing when the season started. He was out on injury before the season even began. And so I think people overthink and overcomplicate who they should collect because they're not listening to their heart in it. They're listening to people going, well, you can buy that for $5 today and it might be worth $10 tomorrow. And I think if you're leading in that way, just like any investment, crypto, NFTs, stocks, any investment, you could be led astray if you don't really know what it's about. I always said, if you're going to invest in stocks, invest in companies you believe in, invest in companies you know about. you're buying a piece of that company. And in cards, you're kind of buying a piece of that player. And so same kind of thing.
Mm. Speaking of buying a piece of that player, you have a Shaquille O'Neal jersey behind it. The game worn trading cards is a big deal, right?
Huge.
We're looking at the jersey cards, the patch cards, and people are saying, are they game worn? Is it event worn? I tend to keep every Babe Ruth, Mickey Mantle, Willie Mays card jersey back card because I don't know that they can ever cut those up again with the dollar amounts and the millions and millions. So
Yeah.
you know, a Michael Jordan jersey card, even Tom Brady, I don't know, but is it going to be a lot slower when we have these huge auction houses selling game worn jerseys for millions of dollars? How can these card companies cut them up anymore?
I think some of those historic ones sell extremely high, like you're saying, but a lot of other jerseys don't. I think you can get into like a Jokic jersey or even a Steph Curry jersey gamer. You're talking like $20,000 or $30,000, and then the economics of that become way easier to cut up and put into product because those cards, just one piece, the one logo man, can be worth more than that entire jersey was. So I think you're absolutely right for the Babe Ruths, and so like they're so limited, and those historic jerseys, I absolutely agree. I don't think we see that. A lot of the modern players, though, sometimes they'll wear two jerseys in a game now. You have like first half jersey, second half jersey. It's like it's getting to the point where it's like, wow, there's probably a lot more supply, you know, at least in modern day that they can cut. I I talked to some folks that used to be at Upper Deck, and while they wouldn't say these specifics, there are a lot of historic jerseys that were bought by companies like that that ended up cut up and into packs. I do have I have a couple of cards that were cut from Jordan's 1996 All-Star jersey, the one in San Antonio that was that turquoise iconic jersey, and that's like it feels like sacrilegious to have cut that jersey up, you know, when it was so iconic and so many he's wearing that on so many cards. To think that I own a piece of that actual jersey is mind-boggling, more so that they destroyed it to put it in the card I have than otherwise. So I think I love them too. I think that we got a little bit away of the game used. Everything used to be game used, other than, you know, maybe LeBron's rookie year and some of the rookie jerseys weren't, because when the player cards got manufactured, they hadn't played in a game yet, so it was impossible to actually have a game worn jersey in the NBA. But I think that stretched out a lot in the last few years, and we are seeing that move on from rookie year to second and third year, where they might still have these jersey pieces that weren't, you know, any part of any specific event or date, or, you know, things like that. But I think most of them are game worn in general, and I hope that stays that way. But I do think there's enough of supply, at least for the modern stuff, that we'll see it continue.
Greenie touched on earlier about many different spaces and people coming to the hobby for different reasons. You've got your high-end investors or people that do this as a business. You have people that collect for the love of the game or the collection. What about the people in the middle? How do you help people find a balance between collecting what they love and being smart about value?
Well, I mean, I always tell people, don't pay, like, it's a question. If I go to a show or if I'm buying something on eBay or anywhere else online, it's always a standard question of, would I rather have the card or the money? And I think of it in a very simple sense of forever. I don't think about it as a today, but like if I'm spending $20 on this jersey card, you know, would I be okay with keeping that card forever? You know, like I bought that sandwich today. Am I okay with buying that burger and eating it today? And I'll enjoy it for that $15 I spent. That's how I think of cards in most cases. And that's how I advise people in general, that if you feel like it's worth it, and you've done the comping and stuff like that too, you want to make sure you're not crazy over market on something. But if it means enough to you and you'd rather have that card than the money, then that's a good decision, despite what the market says in the future. Now, the caveat of that is, if you're collecting people you like, your odds are you're not the only person that appreciates that player. And if you are, like me and Thomas Bryant, I'm one of very few, his cards are never going to exceed a certain value. That is fine. right? Like I'm not spending a ton of money on. I can buy a Prism rookie card of his for 25 cents. Like, how often can you say that about a player? If it's a bigger player, like a Jordan or a Kobe or Anthony Edwards today or any of these guys, what you're spending today, if you are comfortable spending it, unless they do something horrible in life, that card is probably going to go up because that player has many more fans just like you who feel the same way about it. And eventually the supply comes down. People more and more are putting it in their collections, not continuing to transact day after day. And when that happens, when that supply goes down, then the prices come up, very naturally. So if you're going after it with your heart, if you really believe in that player, other people do too. You're not the only one that sees somebody as a great player, had a great play. I met Jeremy Lin over the weekend, right? We think about Jeremy Lin collecting back in Lin's Sanity was a real thing in New York. And and everyone wanted to have a piece of him, and so I think it's okay to go after it in that fashion.
How many of these iconic cards or these rare inserts, the Jordans, we're seeing the transactions now, but how many of them are going away and we're never going to see those cards for another 20, 30 years? Like when I say go away, they're going into a private collection, not to be seen for a while.
I think on the ultra high end, that was more true in the past than it is now. I think if you look at some of these new investors, you look at Mr. Wonderful and Shine, they have every intention to sell these cards in a few years. They've even said it a couple times. They say at first, oh, we're putting it away, but they have every intention to let those go. If Mr. Wonderful is walking the red carpet, says I bought this card for 12 million, it's worth 20 million now. Really? That quickly? Like, there's a reason you say that and a reason you're kind of inflating that value. Obviously, you have intention to sell it at some point. So I think a lot of those will become more available. I think it's incredible today. I was at a show a year ago, and that was the first time I had ever touched a Michael Jordan Playmakers Theater. Never had one in hand ever before. 30 years since it had been out. Never seen one. And a guy came up to my booth, and because I had some Jordans out in my case, I only set up at shows like 3 times a year, mainly just to socialize with people. But he saw the Jordans I had. He's like, these are the same kinds I have. I want to show you this. You're the first person I'm showing it to. And he hands me it raw in the top loader, just chilling. Numbered out of 100, probably a $50,000 card. One, again, that I had never seen. Since then, I've seen 4 more. So it just shows you that they're coming out of the woodwork because the value is so high that people are finally willing to at least entertain the thought of letting them go. I'm entertaining that thought on some of my Jordans. Prior to this year, I really hadn't let any of them go. But I am starting to look at them. I just let go of my members only Beam team over the weekend, actually, because I bought that card, in a set. I had the whole set for $80. And now that card alone was $2,500. And I said to myself, again, would I rather have the card or the money? It's usually the card, and at $80, I wanted the card. But when someone's offering you $2,500, it was just a way overvaluation in my brain. Not for the market. That guy's going to take it and sell it for $3,000 next week. No doubt about it. But, I think you're going to see a lot more supply coming out there. I think we're going to see a lot more of these inserts in these big premier auctions because people are realizing, wow, the value's high on this. And whether or not they think it's going up more, it's irrelevant to someone who collects it. It's more just, would I rather have the money than that card now? It's exceeded the value that I put on it.
There's also an evolution where a few years ago, those premier cards might have ended up in a vault or behind closed doors, but now you're seeing them in gold encasements around somebody's neck on a red carpet or in a traveling museum. And
they become jewelry.
Or jewelry. People want to brag about owning those cards now. So, John, if you could wave your magic wand, part of your mission is to make the hobby more accessible and enjoyable. What would you love to see across the community that would make it better for everyone?
I'd love to see inexpensive wax come back. I don't think we've had like a real product that's both inexpensive to start and accessible. I know Topps is trying. I know Topps worked with a whole bunch of stores in this latest Chrome release to have the blasters be fixed at $45. But personally, like, I'd love to see blasters be $20 again, you know, and also fixed at that $20 mark. I think people have gotten into this so much for the money that they don't even know what's on the cards. My son collects Pokemon. We go to Target and we watch people there that have never opened a Pokemon pack in their life hoarding Pokemon sealed wax so that they can resell it. And my son doesn't get any. Like, literally right in front of them. They take every last one. And I think we need to get to a point where we need to find a way where we can get the kids to open cards again at an affordable rate. Not just rich kids, like kids who don't have a lot of money. I didn't have a lot of money when I was a kid, and I enjoyed opening $1.50 packs, trying to get that game jersey 1 in 2,500 packs back in '97. And that's where I pulled the Jordan Hot Shots when I was a kid and still have that today. Like, that's what gets you interested. And there's nothing like ripping. We all love ripping wax. It's just, I haven't done it in years. It's just too expensive. I can't look at like boxes and packs personally and go, I feel like I'm going to get something I really like out of that when I open it for the amount of money I'm spending. No, I'd much rather just buy the singles I want at that point, knowing what I'm going to get. I think if we can bring it back to that, if the card companies can kind of, both work together, maybe on some cross licensing, that would be awesome too. In the perfect world, get some competition back. There's nothing that's stopping Topps or Panini other than the fact that they sue each other. There's nothing that's stopping them from sub-licensing their licenses. You know, Topps could allow Panini to make basketball cards with the NBA logo. They could offer that as a sub-license to them. So I'd love to see that kind of stuff happen, you know, and see more of that come back.
That would be very interesting if that were to ever be the case. But John, listen, this was awesome. We really appreciate your time.
My pleasure.
Basketball cards and inserts. We could go for a couple more hours. I'm sure.
It was great seeing you at the National as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate it. That was great. You're just walking by, and I love talking about insert cards and things like that, and the different pack odds and the different parallels. And we'll do that again on another show. But where can people find you online?
My website, basketballcardguy.com, really easy place. All my contact info's there. But otherwise, Instagram is where most people follow me, at basketballcardguy. It's all one word. There's a little cartoon face of mine on there. I've been on IG for 10 years. And it's just very, as you've seen, very authentic hobby content. You know, I'm just looking to have those discussions. I don't do any giveaways. I don't do any promotions like to get people in, but the people that follow me really are engaged with it. And I appreciate that. And it's become a really cool, I don't even want to say an audience. It's been a cool community for me to interact with on a regular basis. So Instagram's a great place.
Fantastic. I mean, we really have just a few seconds. What is the last chase card or the next chase card that you are looking for?
I don't own a Jordan Kobe on-card autograph, a duel. I don't own one yet. I need to at some point. I will likely have to trade into it. Not affording that right now.
John, terrific stuff. We really appreciate you joining us tonight. I learned a lot. There's great content out of the show tonight, and we appreciate you joining us, and stay in touch.
My pleasure. You got it, guys. Happy anniversary,
Thanks,
by the way.
Thanks, John. My wife will appreciate that.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, Greenie, terrific show tonight. Our thanks to John, a.k.a. the basketball card guy. Our thanks to our resident hobby insider, Joe Wysmierski. Our thanks to you, Greenie, for checking in from parts unknown and known, as it were. Our thanks to Haley on the board, who is with us every week doing the magic behind the scenes. Our thanks to Big Play, who hasn't thrown us out of the studio yet. We continue to do this week over week, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. live every week, and then you can follow us on our social channels as we continue to build the network here. Stay tuned for additional announcements coming here in the near future on some network evolutions and additional content. Very excited to roll that out soon. And yeah, Greenie, lots of stuff coming up. Make sure you check out greenieshows.com for all the shows. We talked about the Mountain State Collectors Convention, the Great Northern Card Show. You've got Medina County Collectors Fair coming up, and lots and lots of good stuff. So, Greenie, thank you for allowing us to do this under your namesake week over week. And like you and everybody else, may the cards forever be in your favor.
Yeah, we appreciate it. You mentioned it earlier. Go to our Greenie Sports Cards Facebook page and read the article that I shared that Mike Beater wrote. And one of the reasons we continue to grow these shows, because nothing will beat that face-to-face interaction. And with that, we do appreciate it, and we will see you next time.